So you remember we started with this idea that faculties are actually the bridges or the instruments or the means by which consciousness functions in the world. And as Upanishads speak about this in the form of Purusha. Purusha is that formation which was made for the sake of engaging consciousness into manifestation. Purusha is consciousness. But Purusha has seeing, hearing, speaking, thinking. All these faculties are there. So can you imagine if I remove all that, if I cut off my head with seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, speaking, hearing, what would be there? There would be a body moving around for no reason, seeing nothing, hearing nothing, not able to communicate anything. So what that would be? Nothing. It would be nothing, basically. Of course, some faculties will be there in the torso, like feeling, heart, and so on. But if we examine our body from this point of view, we will see that without these faculties, consciousness is not operational in the manifestation. It is through the faculties that consciousness operates in manifestation. When we say, I am aware or I am a witness, when we speak about witness consciousness, it is a seeing consciousness. When we comprehend something or understand deeply, interact with everything in the meaningful, fashion of feeling or being or living, then what we call the highest would be vijnana, supramental being, one in many and many in one. Then it is that comprehensive cognition of all-pervasive understanding or hearing, holding like one space in one space, all possible relations, and so on. So these faculties, as I was mentioning before, let me project, I have several things here for you. These faculties, if you look at them, and that is Upanishadic vision, not Sankhya. Sankhya already deals with them differently in accordance with the mental structure, where mind dominates all of them. Here in this vision, mind is one of those faculties. It is that faculty which can concentrate consciousness on any chosen object of sense. And once that focus is taking place, then other faculties kind of realize more. You can see it as such, you can understand how it relates to other selves or other beings, you can express it in some form or another, you can feel its life, you know it from being it, living it, and you can feel the body of it, or the the rupa, the form of it, as a separate form, as a unique form, manifesting uniquely consciousness. So basically, these six are present on every level of consciousness, starting from the physical. We will have it. You can imagine it like a trunk of the tree cut, and this is the round, trunk, the cut. Yeah? And you can cut it on every level of consciousness. These faculties will be present on every level, on the pranic level, on the mental level, on the supramental level. On each level you will have to have some of these faculties, or all of them basically. You have to have the self-identity, the being, Annam, the body of it, uniquely manifested. You have its life there. You have its power to focus itself on any chosen object of sense. You have the power to express itself in any possible way, whatever language it may choose there. You have a power of comprehending how it relates to other beings, and a power recognizing anything and everything as such. So basically, you will have all these levels. So if I take one of them, for example, word, which is easier to operate, I can show you very easily on Kashmiri and Shaivism how it operates. Let me project this for you. I have several presentations here ready to engage. was thinking how to really speak about this. This is my... Do you see it? No. I didn't project it yet. Okay, here it is. This is Tantric vision. And you know that we have 4 levels of speech. This is Paravak, Pashyantivak, Madhyamavak. Many of you know this, yeah? And Vaikharivak. So Paravak is a transcendental word. Pashyantivak is the seeing speech. Interesting. It's like a lightning of intention, which comes to us as aha moment. Then this aha moment has to dress itself in Madhyamavak, into the language. It takes any language to express that intuition. Yeah? And once it is formed into the text, it can be spoken out to our communicating that intention to our surface consciousness or to the listener outside. It's the same. Basically, we are double. We are really bipolar in a way, because we have inner consciousness and outer, and inner always communicates to the outer. And we are constantly building those bridges, communicating something from inside to the outside. So I take only one element, speech, and want to show you that these levels are in speech, they are the same in mind, they are the same in seeing, in hearing. On each level we have the functionality of these faculties. I will not go into the whole explanation of Abhinavagupta because of lack of time, but want to show you this. And here is something very interesting. It's just a scheme made by me from the Tantric vision. How word operates from the highest to the lowest. If you look at the lowest level, where Vaikharivak here, where there are 2 parts, objects and words. We have linguistic reality and the objective reality of things. And it's kind of interesting that the linguistic reality relates to the outer reality 1-to-1. It's kind of amazing. If I say to you any sentence like, I am going home by bus, I'm using this always. So that would be the same. There will be me, there will be bus, there will be home, and me going with the bus or by bus home, physically and linguistically, totally fitting, 1-to-1. It's amazing. So these 2 realities, I can show you some object, for example, a pen. This is a pen, and I can write on the whiteboard a pen. That a pen and this pen, they are 2 different realities, and then they are somehow correspond. Yeah? 2 realities existing objectively on the level of the Vaikhari manifestation, but on the level of Madhyama, where I build the word, this text, to explain lekhani, to explain this which is scratching, writing. Pen doesn't say anything. In Sanskrit, lekhani, the scratching one. And that scratching one is saying something what it does, yes? There will be some very powerful indicator what this thing is doing. It is scratching, it is writing thing. So that is the formation where the idanta and ahanta, as Abhinavagupta would say, separate. So thisness and I-ness. There is I-ness and thisness which go kind of astray. But on the level of the higher Pashyanti, they have oneness. The idea of pan and pan itself are corresponding there. And already on the mental plane, they have something which is kind of different. You see these points. But on the highest Paravak, the idea of the pan, the word pan, and pan itself as a physical objective or form, nama and rupa, or artha and shabda, are one and the same. There is no more difference between the form and the name. So that bipolar truth is already inbuilt there as oneness. Yes, power and knowledge are going one there. There's total correspondence of power and knowledge, or consciousness and power. Chit, Shakti, is one on the level of the supermind or transcendental level. And then they split. They split because there is an intention going down, yeah? And that intention generates the need to address the word or the idea of pen and the object of pen. Sri Aurobindo beautifully describes how these two realities coexist in the Vedic vision. They are one and the same movement of consciousness, which manifests all things in forms and meanings, or the words. So meanings and forms are corresponding. Yeah? So 4 levels. Why I show these 4 levels? Because I want to say that in the same manner we have mind. We have physical mind, a mind in the physical body, in the cells and so on. We have vital mind, we have proper mind, and we have supermind. Yeah? The same way, levels are corresponding. If I take the sight, the seeing, it will be the eyeballs, the physical seeing. You know? Then there will be vital seeing, what we usually see in our dreams. Then there is mental seeing, conceptual seeing, you know, philosophical seeing. And then there is higher seeing, drishti, revelation, seeing direct evidence of the truth. Yeah? The same with hearing, and so on. This is amazing. And even life, and even body-wise, we have the physical self, Annamaya Purusha, Pranamaya Purusha, Manomaya Purusha, and Vijnanamaya Purusha, and beyond. Purushas or selves, the beings. So this is something what I wanted to address before I dive into the Upanishads. Why the Upanishads are dealing with these major faculties of consciousness. Coming back to them. If you have some clarification to make or ask or say something from your side, please just interrupt. Come in, because the thought is important. Yeah? To follow. I encourage it. I actually like it. It makes it more alive. Let me project something else. So since these faculties are major ones, I wanted us to look into the Upanishads. Why Upanishads are dealing not with consciousness, but with the faculties. Do you see this Kena Upanishad? Yeah. I will be brief. I will not give you the whole text. Don't worry. I will not start reading the text in Sanskrit and then. So what is interesting, Kena Upanishad is a part of Jaiminiya Upanishad Brahmana. It's a very ancient text, it seems. And belongs to Samaveda, actually. And it has this Shantipatra, which is also very relevant to our studies of faculties. So if I read it through, Apyayantum mamangani vak pranas chakshuh shrotra matho balam indriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam mama brahma nirakarota nirakaranamastva nirakaranam mestu. Let me translate. May my limbs grow strong, my speech grow strong, my prana, my seeing, hearing, and then power in the body, and all the indriyas. Notice, indriyas are not faculties in that mind. Indriyas is something else, not seeing, hearing, not word. It's amazing, yes? So there was another view on the faculties. Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam, Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. This is the whole holistic Upanishad. It's all about the spirit. May Brahma, the spirit, may he not deviate from me. May I not deviate from him. from the spirit. Non-deviation should be from me by the spirit, because that is what is in the Atman, in the self, and that which is in the Upanishads, those dharmas, they should be in me. They should be in me. Now, it's all about the faculties, nothing more than that. And then Kena starts in a very interesting question. Kena means by who? It's a question mark, yeah? Kena. By who? By who Upanishad? Kena ishitam, kenishitam patati preshitam manah, kena pranav prathamav praiti yuktaha, kenishitam vacham imam vadanti, chakshuh shrotram ka udevo yunakti. This one verse is enough to meditate for the rest of our life. By who? By whom missioned, it's a Sri Aurobindo's translation, I will read his. By whom missioned falls the mind short to its mark? Who actually directs our thinking process towards the outcome, towards the result? Who builds this logical chain, actually, that we follow it and arrive at the result we want to arrive at? It's really a koan. It's a big question. Who is that? What is that which makes it work in the mind? Yeah? Kena pranav prathamav praiti yuktaha. By whom yoked moves the first life breath forward on its paths. When we are born, we are breathing in, and then we breathe out and breathing in till the rest of our life. When we leave our body, we breathe out and we don't breathe in anymore. It's amazing. Who yoked that prana, that life force, to this physical body? Who made it really connected to this physical body? Kenishitam vacham imam vatanti. By whom impelled is this word that man speak? What God says, what God set eye and ear to their workings. Literally, by who compels or impels speech that we speak? It's a big question. Why do I say what I say in the moment I say? Where the decision was made, it's a very complex thing to choose. The context is calling for particular speech or particular expression of consciousness. And that, who is that? What is that force which defines when and what is to be spoken? Who defines why I chose this word to say or not that word to say in this moment of time? This is the Kashmirian Shaivism, actually, very interesting there. Who decides? He says that it is Sadashiva, the Lord Shiva. Actually, the Maha Pashyanti comes down as a lightning, and we say, now I know what to do. Yes? And these smaller streams coming down to the lowest level, defining our behavior, what we say, what we express, because speaking is not really the speech, it's a self-expression, it's expression of the inner being in some form in a particular context. And who is that God who unites hearing and seeing and hearing? This is profound, because seeing and hearing are two major faculties of consciousness, apprehensive and comprehensive cognition. Who makes them one? Why the meaning and the form correspond? Always. You can see the first verse is everything about consciousness. Yeah? And then a very interesting shift, which Aurobindo uses beautifully in his commentaries on the Kana. Shrotrasya shrotram, manaso mano, yadvacho havacham, saupranasya pranah, chakshushash chakshuratimuchya, dhiraha pretya smadlokadam rita bhavanti. That which is hearing of our hearing. It seems there is hearing of our hearing, mind of our mind, speech of our speech. That too is life of our life breath and sight of our sight. The wise are released beyond, and they pass from this world and become immortal. So what we think that we operate by the faculties, it seems there are original faculties in the universal Purusha, whom these our faculties in the individual framework represent. They are connected to the universal Purusha. Natatra chakshur gacchati, there the sight travels not. Navag gacchati, there speech, no speech, no mind. We know it not, nor can distinguish how one can teach of it. For it is other than the known. It is there above the unknown. I could say it a bit differently. It is anyad evatad viditat, atho aviditadadhi. It is different from the known. How can we teach about this if it is different from the known and it is different from the unknown? So how can you really even say about it? It's not that what we do not know even. It is not only what we don't know. So it is much more complex than that what Socrates would say. I know only that I don't know. No, you also don't know what you don't know. So there is something more, even beyond that which is unknown. Iti shushruma purvesham yenastad vichachakshire. And that is how we were taught by the old men of old, who declared that to our understanding. And then comes very important passage, and with this I will conclude with Kena and go to Aitareya. I want to give you the background where all this idea of really nourishing faculties, working with them, comes. Yadvachana bhyuditam yed yenavaga bhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasati. That which is not expressed by the word, that by which the word is expressed, know that to be the Brahman, and not this which man follow after here. So what is not spoken by the speech, because it is faculty which we inherited from universal Purusha and made our own, as it were. And we cannot express Brahman in the word, because it is by Brahman that speech is being expressed. We are speaking because of Brahman. We are not speaking Brahman. Brahman is speaking in speech, as it were. Yan manasana manute yanahur manomatam tadeva brahman tvam vidine dam yadidam upasate. That which thinks not by the mind, that by which the mind is thought, know that to be the Brahman. Yat chakshushana pashyati yena chakshunshi pashyati tadeva brahmatvam vidine dam yadidam upasate. That which sees not with the eye, that by which one sees the eyes seeing, that is Brahman. Yat shrotrena nashranoti yena shrotramidam shrutam. That which hears not by the ear, but by which the ear's hearing is heard, that is Brahman. Even yat pranena na praniti yena pranav praniyati. That which breathes not with the breath, that by which the life breath is led forward in its paths, that is Brahman. So we cannot know the spirit by the faculties, because their action by itself is the spirit's presence. This is the problem of the faculties. That's why we never pay attention to them, because they are the spirit in action, actually. So the moment we start thinking about them, we are actually shifting consciousness into the witness. We have one more poise. We are not looking at the object of sense, how we are involved, but we are looking at how faculties are operating to get that object of sense. And that gives us one more poise of consciousness. And that is the universal Purusha poise, witness. In that sense, it is very powerful. There is a part 2 which is also very interesting in terms of how it doesn't work in the embodied state. Maybe I have to go through this. I will start with the second verse to make it shorter. Naham manye suvedeti nona vedeti vedacha. This is perfect. Yonas tad veda nona vedeti vedacha. I think not that I know it well, the Spirit. I think not that I know it well, and yet I know that it is not unknown to me. He of us who knows it knows that. He knows that it is not unknown to him. This is very subtle. So I don't consider that I know it perfectly, suveda iti. But I also don't know that I don't know. So I don't know it well, but at the same time, I don't know that I don't know it. So in a way, it's in between knowing and unknowing. There is a gap where what is actually holding both. You cannot claim absolute knowledge of the Spirit, and you cannot claim that you have nothing to do with it. It's not going to work. Neither of these are true. Neither. So it's in between both, not absolute not knowing and absolute knowing well. It's neither of these, and will never be either of these at the end. It will be always in between. Spirit cannot be totally known, and cannot be totally unknown also. I cannot say that I don't know. Because I know it, because I am embodying it. All the faculties are working here. It is the Spirit's working. It's amazing. Nahamanye suvedeti, I read this. Yasyamatam tasyamatam matam yasyana veda saha vijñatam vijanatam vijñatam avijanatam. He by whom it is not thought out has the thought of it. He by whom it is thought out knows it not. It is unknown to the discernment of those who discern of it. By those who seek not to discern of it, it is discerned. I will translate a bit differently, just to add to it some more flavor. Of whom literally, yasya, amatam is unknown, unconsidered. Tasyamatam, by him it is considered. If we consider him as not possible to consider, then it is the consideration of it. Matam yasyana veda saha, but by the one who doesn't know it, it is considered. Yes, I know what it is. Avijñatam vijanatam, by those who discern, it is undiscerned. Vijñatam avijanatam, by those who not discern it, it is discerned. So we can discern it only as undiscerned. There is a way to discern the Spirit. It's amazing. I think this is really worth. These are koans, so beautiful. But okay, I stop here. So we know that the faculties come from the Brahman. They represent the Spirit in action. Aitareya gives us another view on it. I'm not sure. Should I go into Aitaré? It's kind of a little stages of creation. Or shall we stop here and have some interaction, and then if we have time I will go to Aitaré. Let me stop projection. It's too much, most probably, already talking. I want to hear you.
Very beautiful.
Yeah, Upanishads are always so uplifting, so direct. No wishy-washy, no extra words, no ornamentation.
Yeah. And so clear.
It's clear.
So clear.
Yeah, Sri Aurobindo deals with...
There are both the worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, nurture what is there, but at the same time know what is beyond. And connect the two.
Right. Bahman, he wants to say something. Yes, Bahman?
Well, I was going to ask you to go over the 4 levels of Bach one more time.
Sure.
If you can, I'm trying to find some correlation between something else, but if we can look at what you said about it, I'd like to...
Yes, absolutely. That is my favorite subject, actually.
Yeah.
The Bach. Yeah, because I'm a linguist by my MA in linguistics, general and theoretical linguistics, and I discovered Indian system of, and Sanskrit. Sanskrit is perfect for linguistics. Let me project.
And also, Vladimir, if you could talk about this. There's a lot of talk about the signifier and the signified, and these concepts are connected with Derrida.
Absolutely.
As far as etymology is concerned, But given that these concepts have been discussed, much earlier, that it seems that there's a possibility of an unacknowledged connection.
Yes, I think so.
Recording
Absolutely.
stopped.
By the way, what was happening with this, interestingly, what you said, I was doing this work with, most probably, yes, with Rajiv Malhotra. He gave me this linguistic work to check on Saussure and how Saussure is kind of hijacked the knowledge from Indian tradition. And I found their links, It was never published. Maybe one day it will be published. It was prepared for publication. How Saussure was the professor of Sanskrit language, we should not forget. Yeah, his PhD was in the absolutus, genitivus absolutus in Sanskrit language, which is a very complex form of grammar. He knew very well Bhartrihari. He was teaching it. That's why he never wanted to claim that knowledge. He never wanted to publish his. He was published by his students later when he died already, from the notes. These are the notes from his lectures. Himself, he never wanted to publish it. It's amazing. And here we see this signified and signifier, exactly these two. Yes. This is form images and form sounds. Idanta, thisness, and ahanta, I-ness. I-ness is a subjective, knowledge of the being, and form, idanta, thisness, objective kind of, objectivized knowledge of the being. So subjective will be the form of the word or the meaning, what this form should represent, what it can do, and how it can relate to other forms. And the form is built in such a way that it fits to that meaningful relations. It's amazing. This lekhani is built in such a way to fit into my hand, to have ink from it. Everything is built in such a way to embody the meaning of scratching and writing. And everything else in the world corresponds. Form and so apprehensive and comprehensive cognition go hand in hand. Who is that God who united hearing and seeing? Yes, that is the Brahman behind, the oneness of this separation of the two. And I put here the cycle because this is the sign of Saussure. Sign combines both, signified and signifier. It builds in the form and the name, as it were, and the meaning of the form. But on different levels, if we go to Abhinava Gupta, he is more written how he defines it. It's very interesting. Paravak, according to Abhinava Gupta, describes Paravak as transcendental word, beyond creation, the very essence of supreme reality, ever present and pervading all. It is thus identical with pure consciousness, Chit, which is the ultimate reality. It is conceived as a luminous vibration, spurata, in itself. Yeah? It's not yet selecting some particular detail of the being, of pure consciousness itself, carrying within itself the whole cosmos, cosmic manifestation, which is shining within it without any differentiation, no differentiations yet made, no emphasis on one particular against something else. So this is paravak, holding all, consciousness, pure. Then something happens. Paravak is indeed present, and this is his idea. His ideas are so marvelous. Is indeed present everywhere in terms of Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari. These are actually the activities or actions of Paravak. It's like faculties of consciousness represent the Purusha. For without her, darkness and unconsciousness would prevail in them. And this I will not read. Everything, stones, trees, this is the translation, birds, human beings, gods, demons, and so on, is but the venerable supreme word present in and consisting of everything in the form of, that is identical with, the Supreme Lord. At the beginning was the Word, and Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is that Word which is God, identical with the Supreme Lord, Sadashiva. Paravak consists of Prakasha and Vimarsha, of actually Chit Tapas, Chit Shakti. Prakasha is the pure light of consciousness, Vimarsha is the pure power of consciousness, the Word, carrying within itself the whole world in its potential state. It is Chit Tapas, Chit Shakti of the Vedantic vision. Well, according to Abhinava Gupta, and I believe so also, the meaning is always relational, yes? Because it is a message. It's always something to be done. Something is to be moved. Something has to be expressed. The water as such, it is a water substance. It is when it is coming to be expressed or to be wanted or to be pointed at, then it comes into being. It's like something like the theory of the quantum mechanics, the electron or whatever, the proton is not there until we actually have it or see it. So a proton is everywhere. We have to actualize it with consciousness. Every time we actualize it in our self-expression, it becomes that what we know it in all possible relations. And then we choose what we want to apply to, what part of that, holistic, universal relations we want to emphasize in this particular context. So water actually can be anything and everything. You're absolutely right. Everywhere, in every form. And if we go even farther, it's a liquidity. It is the substance without form, which actually is the universal ocean, that ocean, transcendental, from which the whole creation started, and so on. It depends how you look at it, what you emphasize.
The relativity of meaning, for example, when you go to a dictionary, not from one language to another, but you go from English to English, for example, it directs you kind of horizontally, so you ask what is the meaning of this, and it gives you 5 other words. Mm-hmm. And you ask for the other one that gives you 5 other words. And if you sort of go by the logic of ad infinitum, it seems like all these meanings and relational things are not going anywhere deeper than pointing to each other, you know. So for someone to really understand the meaning of something, in my take on this, is that you have to equate it with some experiential
What it can do, yeah.
experiential level of your own, you know. That's
Absolutely.
why, for example, if you can explain to a 12-year-old, you know, the whole book of, I don't know, whatever, they're not going to be able to understand it, or anyone for that matter, right? Because, like you talk about spirituality on so many different levels, but if someone hasn't had the experience, they cannot resonate with the real meaning of that, even though they might be able to remember and even teach, you know, these different things, you know. But until the soul is at a level that, you know, the psychic has actually settled on the actual meaning of something for good, you're not. And then behind that, of course, is the transcendent, you know. So I'm trying to sort of get the idea here whether it's really all relative or is there a deeper level of meaning? Because I think if that's true, then that explains telepathy, because telepathy will bypass, you know, the first two levels and goes directly from meaning to meaning, you know. You know, there's stories like, you know, Mayor Baba would get all these teachings from his teacher by just standing there and looking at each other, and in a few seconds, he would get all these universal teachings that, you know, would take forever to even talk about, you know. So something is going on there that's going for, at the level of consciousness exchange. They don't need to use language to externalize it and then encode it
Agree?
and decode it and all that. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Might be something
He
deeper.
he uses patiently, yes. He uses patiently, he gets the message. And the message comes always like, aha. Now you have that aha, that kind of, I know it, but I don't have yet words to express it. Then you have to dress it into some language. Language is a formation of the mind which we use. There are many languages we can dress our aha moment into. Yes, we can put it into some artistic form, into musical language, into mathematical. It depends which language we choose to express that self-expression, that movement of the word. The word is actually not language. Speech is not language. Self-expression is using language to express itself to the surface, to be known, to communicate. But in itself, it is something else. It is patienti. And this is something interesting because patienti has to use this syntactic semantics. Patienti is semantics proper, which is using syntax, language, to dress it, to communicate it to others, that they take the same language and they come to the same intention. They understand the intention. Understanding the intention of expression is actually the meaning. I understand what you want to say. You may speak long thing and then the message is only one, and I understand where you are heading at, and that is the meaning according to this system. The meaning is not in the word per se, is not in the language as it is. Syntactic semantics is madhyamavak. It is what Indra built, the mind built this network of possible interactions of the sounds or intentions, how they can be expressed for us to communicate, that we speak about the same world.
Yeah, or in fact, if, for example, if two people know each other really deeply, have been through a lot of experiences together, let's say a couple or something, right? They can look at each other and all of a sudden they know what they don't even have to use any words, right? And what was really fascinating about Meher Baba was that in the beginning, you know, he went into silence for many years, right? Basically forever. But then what he did is first he used an alphabet board, real quick, pointing out the letters so that people can get what he's saying, you know. And then he threw that away at some point years later. And what he did, he was using a sign language, just like this and that and this and that, which wasn't any known sign language. It's just that he had primed all these people around him in such a way that he could just like do this and they would totally understand what he's talking about, which is really amazing. Because at that point, I think he was actually conveying the consciousness directly to them, but he was using this as a sort of signal so they can sort of
Can start. Yeah.
yeah, they can face with it. But you don't even have to do that if the other person is fully primed at your level. You can basically look at each other and communicate worlds together.
Absolutely. Sri Aurobindo was using this power, in his diary on the records on yoga. He was trying to apply Pashyanti Vak even on the insects, on these, on the ants, to drop the sugar and go away or something. And he said he had to persist because that insect didn't want to drop the sugar. So after some time he succeeded, he says. I succeeded to convey that Pashyanti, that intention. This is, yeah, you're absolutely right. We can speak by intentions without dressing it into the language. Absolutely.
Thanks. Great.
Right. This is something very interesting in every way. You see, Vaikhari has Kriya Shakti, the action itself in the physical world. Then Madhyama is the power of Jnana Shakti, where you have to build the text. Because without the text, without this language, without involving language, how can you express the intention? Maybe only some people can do it, like Sri Aurobindo or the saints. They can send the intention to the other being to interpret it in their own language. Yes, instead of telling them through the surface language, dressing them into the language. And then the Ichha Shakti is that Pashyanti Vak, that intention which flashes down. And these intentions, according to Abhinavagupta, are coming because there is a call from below. There is a quest from the context to be modified, to be kind of refashioned, to be disturbed in its equilibrium, to move forward. There is some flame from within calling for a change from above. Interestingly. And we receive that lightning from above and we start modifying the context. Yeah, we may do it wrongly, but that doesn't matter. But we already received the intention. That depends how pure instrument is, how it can dress it purely in the language to communicate the intention. Can it be understood? We hardly understand each other because we are in our own contexts. It's very difficult thing to communicate purely because everybody has something built there and relates to that, as Mother says. We are like, we are never penetrating in our... So it's very difficult for us to build up the proper context in which we are speaking, on which we are on the same page, as it were. Mother says we have to rise high, high above, remove all the preferences, and then see what the person intends to say, not what he says, but what he wants to say. That is Pashyanti. Yeah? If I find that, maybe a person himself cannot really articulate it properly, but he is looking for the word, for the right word, and cannot find it, and I'm crushing him every time because he uses wrong words, and and not letting him, not giving him possibility to express that intention. But if I find the intention, I can help him to articulate what he wants and understand him very easily.
Yeah.
Yes, you wanted Arvind something to say. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether you can comment on, are these related to the levels of mind also, like overmind, intuitive mind, human mind?
Absolutely.
Where the supermind, the poet or the sage has experience, but now he has to translate them into the words. So are these, do they correspond the same way?
Absolutely.
I remember in future poetry, Arvindo, I think, comments in detail on that, and he classifies also which verses or poems come from which level of the mind. That I found very interesting. So is that these four categories also related to the levels of mind and how the experience translates into words?
Yeah, absolutely. When we express ourselves in the physical speech, the sound or writing, this is the reader's problem. Yes, he says that writing is the same expression as the word, and I agree with him totally because it's already manifestation of the word. Yeah, in the text, through the text, intention is manifested. So there is not such a big difference as they wanted to say, and he actually really makes marvelous work with this. Yeah, um, with his idea that written word is not very different from the spoken. Because that was the idea when I speak in a particular time, and that time the word was needed. And so if I write it, and it will be wrong time, wrong context for this word. So I read the book which is not in my time. So that, but for the word, it doesn't matter. It expresses the meaning in a particular form, and I can build the context from there. Yes, so that is what I learned from Derrida, by the way, on this topic. And regarding levels of consciousness, it's absolutely that physical expression of the mind. Yes, physical mind is here. Then we have vital mind, where the formation of the text is taking place, syntax, where we build the text, where we dress our intention into the text which will be understood by the surface. Yeah? The surface mind has to understand the intention which is not surface. Did you notice that many times we speak something which surprises us, our surface mind? We say something which is like, oh, look at this, something really, because the inner intention came and dressed itself into the language which our surface can understand. That means we build the bridge. This bridge is tangible. It is something like really inspiring. Yes? It's like spirit entered into our life. So we are the listener and the speaker at the same time. We are listening to the word which is coming from within, but not yet dressed in language. We have to give it proper dressing. Yeah. Dressing, like salad dressing. And then it becomes alive for the surface, and the bridge is built, and we can connect to that spiritual intention. Yes, Barb?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I do not have much vocabulary already formed, to understand many of the concepts through language, that language. However, I was thinking, as a teacher, this intention and waiting for what I would call the download.
Good.
When
Download is excellent.
Moment, the right words, the right, and you just, I don't even know if I know, but it comes up a lot in therapy. And I was thinking, thanks to, what I managed to glean from the talk, even though I was in transit and doing some things on the way back from where I was previously, I'm going to pay a lot more attention to those moments and get a little more nuance in there. So, yeah, thank you very much for your talk right here.
Oh, thank you so much for this. Yes. Did you notice that how much it depends on audience who is listening, to whom you are talking? It's like you are changing your surface being. If the audience is really receptive and wanting to go deeper into, you get deeper thoughts. If audience is less interested, you become, you cannot speak, you lose your voice. And as a teacher, I'm talking to you as a teacher, yes? It depends on that so much. Who is the receptacle? How we receive, how we call. That's what Abhinavagupta calls. We call for knowledge. Yeah? There has to be a flame from below, some need. There is a call for that expression, and then it comes. If there is no call, there will be flat expression. Yeah? Then we can talk ordinary things which change nothing, basically. So this is This is ongoing. Our kind of consciousness acts through word in this way. I will send you these slides. You read through them. You will be surprised how beautifully Abhinavagupta describes everything, about Pashyanti. He says, for example, you got the intention to go to the village, yeah? And then to go to the village, you go for something, to buy rice, for example. But to go to the village, you have to switch off light, close the doors, feed the animals. He says, feed the animals, close the door and so on, go on the road, take something with you for a walk. So all this, one Mahapashyanti to go to the village, but there are many, many actions in between which are smaller Pashyantis. Yeah? Pashyanti to close the door, Pashyanti to take money with you, Pashyanti to think what you are to buy, where to go, all that. You go there, you buy rice, even rice you buy for tomorrow. But you don't see what is tomorrow. You just have open space for tomorrow. Yeah? And there, this Mahapashyanti to go to the village and buy rice is determining what is coming tomorrow you don't see anymore. So we see only one small selection of that command which came to us. No? But there is more to it. And the higher you rise, the wider the Pashyanti is to get rise, because tomorrow you have to do something else. And it's all already there in the Sadashiva, in the highest Paravak. Yeah? And in these streams come to all of us and determine our movements, determine our intentions, our communications, our self-expressions, because there is something there which wants to be, to become. This is their vision of the word, how word acts through us. And the more we are interested in intentions, rather than in what people say, what they want to say, we have to look into. And why they are here in your life. Why did you meet this person? There is an intention deeper there. If we start observing it, seeing it, it's a very interesting life. We learn a lot about ourselves. About the divine, I guess.
Before we come to Bahman once again.
Oh yes, Bahman, I didn't see. Yes,
No,
please.
I just wanted to say that if you have that material, if you can somehow get it to me, I don't know if you have.
Yes, I can immediately give you.
To send it to me, but whoever's interested.
Sure.
But also wanted to say, this is very good. Thank you for the series. I think on the face of it, it sounds more difficult than it actually is, because it's all classical teachings and it comes with the material is not easy to just grasp without a lot of background. But on the other hand, all of this is so relevant to daily experience, and I think there's a lot of room for just taking bits and pieces of this and just bringing it into a whole realm of experience and just talk about it and make a whole. For example, I could think of so many things. Like, for example, people who speak just one language, they're fixated. There's a fixation. There's a direct connection between the form and the meaning. So they always associate the one thing with the other. But once you learn a second and a third language, all of a sudden you transcend and you come to a different level of understanding language, Or if whole other areas, like when you take, children when they're born, they can pick up any accent from any language, doesn't matter where and when, right? Once they become fixated and go into one language or the other, then the vocal, chords and articulation becomes fixed, and it becomes hard for them to speak another language with the same accent as the locals and all that. But even behind that is so interesting, because you take a child from any person that, let's say go to New Guinea, some culture that seems to be thousands of years behind, at least 50 years ago. But if you take a child from there and bring it to the U.S., like by age of 4 or 5, you give them a computer and an iPhone and this and that, they just come right into it. You know, it has nothing to do with them being a human or some kind of human or this kind of human. It has a lot to do with the cultural conditioning that you're in that keeps the forms fixated and takes the flexibility out, you know. So all these things, learning different languages, different cultures, different, you know, it just gives you so much flexibility for spiritual practice, where when you're in a monolinguistic phase and, you know, so sorry for me to say that in this country there's just so few people that learn anything other than language, and that's, I mean, the English language, and that's why they have such a hard time understanding the rest of the world, because they're just fixated into these, you know, ways of thinking and being in the world. Anyway, I think there's a lot of application to all of this that you said, so thank you so much for all of it.
Yeah, so these are important issues of bilingual, yes, consciousness, and more. In India, they know at least 3-4 languages from their childhood, so speak them freely, and it makes them very intelligent because they can shift. And you notice this. There was Wilhelm Gumboldt, yes, who introduced this inner form of language, which is determining your worldviews. Yeah. If you view the world through the lens of German language, it's very different than you view the world from the French language. Yeah? These are two different worlds. I know it by myself. You know, I speak several languages. And if I shift to my mother tongue, Ukrainian, it's a totally different perception of the world. Different relations, different emphasis, different value system even. Though there is something applicable to all, universal, definitely, yes. Like, but we learned from religions these values. But truly speaking, those subtleties, they have very different emphasis. It's another world. I cannot express it in the same way as I do in English. English is one expression. I cannot bring it into Ukrainian. There is no way I can express this, what I expressed today, in Ukrainian. It will be totally different presentation with different emphasis and different value system. Very subtle and very beautiful. It's like different flowers. They are all flowers, but they are different flowers. Yes, there are roses, these, that. There are field flowers, beautiful, small, but they are there. Languages. And national souls behind are determined by these languages. And they are determined how they view the world, how they relate to others. The value system. This is amazing. Some people want to erase languages and cultures and to make one language. They are destroying the greatest value on earth. Different expressions of consciousness.